When the world forgets consequence, the universe sends reminders wrapped in flesh. Ascenders, listen close. We've all seen chaos thrive where discipline fades. We've seen lies win over truth, noise drown out depth, and egos rise higher than wisdom. But the universe? It never forgets to settle the score. That's where you come in. Sigma males aren't here to shine, impress, or play the social game. They're built for something bigger, course correction. In a world addicted to shortcuts, manipulation, and shallow wins, a true Sigma isn't just different, he's disruptive. Today we're not just talking Sigma, we're talking divine karma in human form. You don't need titles, you don't want control, but your mere presence resets balance. You are a silent verdict, a walking recalibration. Those around you feel the impact long after you've left. This video is for those who don't just walk alone, they walk with purpose. If you see yourself in what's coming, you are never antisocial. You were built as a karmic cipher. You don't bring wrath, you bring truth's consequences. Let's break it down. And Ascenders, if this resonates, hit that subscribe. We're not here to entertain, we're here to wake giants. Sign 1, the echo reflex. You're not out here chasing revenge. You don't care about teaching people lessons, but somehow every person who wrongs you ends up facing themselves, and it happens with eerie accuracy. This isn't magic, it's frequency. You vibrate on a level that naturally repels manipulation and falsehood. You don't have to do anything. The universe does the work through your detachment. The moment someone plays dirty with you, they start unraveling, financially, emotionally, mentally. Not because you hexed them, but because you reflected their energy back without resistance. They thought you were a passive target, but what they didn't realize is that you are a mirror, not a wall. You don't absorb, you echo. Their actions rebound at a velocity they never prepared for. You don't celebrate their fall. You don't even check on them, but you always hear about it eventually, how they fell off, got exposed, or faced the exact thing they tried to project onto you. The echo reflex is your karmic field. It's why people feel weird after crossing you. It's why fake people ghost themselves from your life without warning. It's not intimidation, it's energetic reflection, and it works like clockwork. Sign 2. The unmasking aura. Ever noticed how people start acting awkward around you? For no reason. It's because your presence makes masks fall. You don't pry. You don't interrogate, but when you're in the room, people feel seen, and that terrifies the ones living behind facades. Your aura doesn't entertain fluff. You're immune to surface-level charm, and people sense that, so their defenses crack. The liar starts over-explaining. The narcissist gets defensive. The manipulator loses grip, not because you exposed them, but because your very existence puts pressure on their act. You don't even need to speak. The silence between your words is louder than their noise. This is more than intuition. It's energetic friction. When someone has secrets, they subconsciously fear exposure near you. And what do when they feel seen? They either confess, collapse, or flee. That's the unmasking aura. You're not confrontational, but you're a confrontation they can't escape. It's why people say, "I don't know why, but I feel like I have to be honest with you." Or, "You're intense," when you've barely said anything. You're not a threat, you're a truth field. And when you're near, deception can't hold form. Sign 3, the soul mirror. You don't talk much, but people walk away from you feeling like they've had a deep conversation. That's because being around you forces introspection. Your silence isn't empty, it's loaded. And your eyes? They don't scan the surface. They pierce through pretense. That's what makes you the soul mirror. You reflect people back to themselves, not in judgment, but in accuracy. They see their insecurities, regrets, flaws, and dreams they buried. And they either love you or hate you for it. Some people feel drawn to you because they finally see themselves clearly. Others resent you for the exact same reason. You might notice people becoming quiet after they talk to you. That's not awkwardness, that's recalibration. You've stirred up thoughts they weren't ready to face, and you're not doing anything on purpose. That's the twist. It's not manipulation, it's mirror energy. Your integrity makes them question their compromise. Your solitude makes them reevaluate their dependency. Your presence makes them face the silence they've been running from. You're not judging, you're just showing, and that's what makes your presence transformational or unbearable. Sign 4, the pattern breaker. You were never the one to just go along. Even as a child, something in you rejected generational BS. And now? You walk into systems and shatter the loop. Family dysfunction. You don't play your assigned role. Toxic work dynamics. You don't smile and nod. Friend groups full of codependency. You detach and disappear. You're not rebellious for attention. You're allergic to pretense. And that's what makes you a pattern breaker. Every space you enter gets rearranged or you get rejected. But either way, the system can't stay the same. You've probably been called too much, too intense, or too distant. But what you really are is too aware to pretend. And once you're in the mix, the game shifts. People start confronting things they ignored for years, or they attack you for making them uncomfortable. Your presence disrupts cycles of abuse, control, conformity. Even your ancestors feel it, because you're the one breaking bloodline contracts, the black sheep, the anomaly. But not because you're lost, because you're clear. You're not here to continue the loop, you're here to end it. Sign 5, the calm before collapse. You walk into chaos, and everything goes still. Not because you bring peace, but because your presence triggers silence before the storm hits. People feel calm around you, but it's not comfort. It's the stillness that comes when something deep is about to surface. That's the paradox of your presence. You don't speak much, you don't react. But your vibe makes buried truths rise to the surface. You've probably seen it happen. Someone starts opening up to you, then they break down or blow up or fall apart days later. That's not random. That's your karmic presence accelerating their inner collapse. You don't do it out of cruelty. It's just how your frequency works. You radiate raw honesty, and when that energy enters a space full of lies, something's got to give. You're not the chaos. You're the trigger, the moment of clarity before things fall apart. People confuse your calm with gentleness until their whole illusion starts shaking. Suddenly they realize you weren't soft, you were surgical. You didn't cut them, you exposed the infection. That's the calm before collapse. You didn't start the storm, but your presence called it forward. Sign 6, the undeniable absence. When you leave, things break. Not out of bitterness, not out of vengeance, but because your energy was silently holding it all together and nobody noticed. You've probably walked away from situations where people thought you were replaceable. They thought you didn't matter because you were quiet. But after you left, their worlds started glitching. Fights erupted. Teams fell apart. Relationships crumbled. That's the effect of the undeniable absence. See, Sigma males are low maintenance, but high impact. People take your presence for granted because you don't demand attention, but you bring balance. You stabilize the field. You neutralize toxicity without saying a word. And once you're gone, the weight shifts fast. Your departure is louder than your presence ever was. And the ones who thought you were just quiet realized too late. They were standing on ground you were silently keeping steady. This is why people reach out months or years after you've vanished. They finally felt the vacuum, not your personality, your principle. And the sad part, most people don't grow from it. They just spiral. But you don't look back. You don't explain. You let the absence teach what your presence couldn't. Sign 7, the eye of silence. When things explode around you, you don't shout, you don't argue, you just look. And that look, it shakes people more than screaming ever could. You are the eye of silence. In the middle of chaos, you become still. You observe. You don't flinch. And that composure is terrifying to people who thrive on noise and drama. They expect retaliation, emotion, a show. What they get is silence. Cold, calculating, clear silence. You don't use words as weapons. You use presence. You let people implode on their own chaos. This is why manipulators fail with you. They throw bait. You don't bite. They provoke. You don't blink. Your stillness becomes a mirror, and they start unraveling. And when you do speak, it's precise, surgical, devastating. You've mastered the pause that creates discomfort, the pause that makes people hear their own words echo back and realize how hollow they are. The eye of silence doesn't chase justice. It radiates it, and people can feel when they've stepped into your range. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. Your stillness is the sentence. Sign 8, the no-lesson repeater. Ever noticed how toxic people keep showing up in your life, but none of them win? The narcissist, the fake friend, the manipulator. They show up again and again like broken records, but they always crash against you, and every time it's the same outcome. They break. You stay solid. That's not a coincidence. You are the final checkpoint in their karmic cycle. These people are stuck in loops, hurting others, lying, exploiting, and the universe lets it slide for a while, until they reach you. You're not the victim. You're the wall they can't climb. The thing is, you don't hate them. You don't even try to stop them. But your boundaries, your calm, your refusal to engage in their drama, that's the lesson. And when they fail with you, it's like hitting a mirror at full speed. You're not their first target, but you're their last warning. You might wonder why you attract these patterns, but it's not punishment, it's purpose. You're built to close loops that have gone too far. You don't entertain the lesson, you are the lesson. And after you, they either evolve or repeat the cycle harder somewhere else. But the truth, most of them remember you forever, not with love, with clarity, because after you, they never forget what it feels like to crash into truth they couldn't manipulate. Sign 9, the invisible judge. You don't tell people what to do, you don't offer unsolicited advice, but somehow they feel judged by you anyway. You're the invisible judge, not because you impose morality, but because your standard of living exposes theirs. Your discipline puts their laziness on trial. Your honesty puts their lies under a spotlight. Your self-control challenges their indulgence. You never say a word, but your existence is a quiet rebuke to their excuses. That's why they get defensive around you when you weren't even criticizing them. Why they over-explain, justify, or try to humble brag in your presence. They feel like they need to prove something, but you never asked. It's not about arrogance, it's about frequency. You live by a different code, a code built on sovereignty. And people who are used to playing the victim can't stand that. They need others to validate their weakness. You're not that guy. You force self-reflection through example. You've probably heard lines like, "You think you're better than everyone," or "Why do you act like nothing affects you?" The truth? You don't think you're better. You're just not performing. And that drives insecure people crazy. Your silence feels like a verdict to them, but it's not about them at all. You're just being real. Sign 10, the time disruptor. Your presence bends timelines. People meet you, and suddenly they evolve faster, or crash faster. There's no middle ground. That's because you accelerate karmic timing just by showing up. You walk into a situation and things speed up. Fake relationships end. Business scams get exposed. People grow or combust. You're like a human catalyst for consequences. Not because you're trying to rush things, but because your vibration is aligned with truth. And when truth enters the equation, illusion can't survive long. You've probably seen people make huge life changes after one deep conversation with you. Or they disappear completely. That's time distortion. It's not time travel, it's time correction. You force clarity, and clarity rearranges everything, fast. In a world where people drift in circles for years, you're a straight line. People either get in sync or fall out completely. That's why people say meeting you was a turning point, because it was. You're the disruption that puts timelines back on track. You don't chase the future, you bring it crashing into the present. Sign 11, the detached purifier. You don't force change, you trigger it by existing. Toxic environments naturally purge when you're around. Fake people expose themselves. Cowards retreat. Snakes shed their skin. And all you did was show up. You're the detached purifier. You don't argue, you don't convert, you don't convince, but your detachment makes truth unavoidable. You don't engage the nonsense, you ignore it completely. And that's what burns people the most. You've probably walked into rooms and felt the air shift. Tension rise, conversations die. That's not awkward energy, that's energetic cleansing. You shine a light without even trying, and the bugs scatter. Even your silence speaks. Your disinterest is a filter. It separates the real from the artificial. People feel exposed around you, not because you're judging, but because your soul doesn't tolerate falseness. And here's the wild part. You don't have to remove people. They remove themselves. Your stillness creates motion. Your presence forces recalibration. You don't need to say a word. Just being yourself disinfects the room. Sign 12. The Karma Whisperer. You've always known that people get what's coming. Even when it looked like the wrong ones were winning, you never panicked. You didn't scheme. You didn't retaliate. You waited. You are the Karma Whisperer. You understand that karma doesn't need help. It just needs room, and you give it space to work. You've watched people betray, manipulate and lie, and walk away like they got away with it. And you let them, because deep down you knew time doesn't forget energy. And sure enough, life circles back, always. You don't celebrate it. You don't say, "I told you so." You move on. You're not here to witness their downfall. You're here to complete your mission. You walk through life with a knowing, a quiet alignment with justice that's deeper than any court or rule book. Your strength is in your stillness. Your revenge is your evolution. You're not interested in revenge. You're interested in rhythm, and you are always on beat. Ascenders, hear this. You are not misunderstood. You are untranslated. You weren't built to be popular. You were built to realign the field. When systems go corrupt, the universe doesn't send armies. It sends individuals, quiet ones, focused ones, ones like you. You are not broken. You are precise. You're not cold. You're calibrated. You're not distant. You're dangerously aware. If these signs hit your core, you're not just a sigma, you're karma with a pulse. Justice wrapped in calm, the silence before reckoning. So walk how you walk. Don't shrink. Let the world misread you. Let the noise misjudge you. You're not here to be seen. You're here to be felt. And trust me, once people feel you, they never forget. If you haven't already, subscribe. Not because you're a follower, but because this channel was built for ones who move in shadows but carry thunder. Until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, stay rising. Sigma ascends, and so do you.